What's up, tribe? How y'all doing? Thank you to all my new subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and click the button, and hope you like this video. This is Southern Charm, Season 1, Episode 5, I think we're on. 4 or 5. I think 4 or 5. Excuse me. Alright, let's just dig right into this, okay? I'm a few days late, so I might be a little over the place, but let me go ahead and get it in. This is the Tamika episode, alright? Tamika she's one of the main characters, and she's a pistol. Tamika is one of the people that I can't stand, meaning she's one of those people that feels like telling the truth gives you license to be a bitch, and it does not. First of all, telling the truth when you're being asked a question is one thing. Inserting yourself into situations that don't have shit to do with you is a totally different thing. And then being a bitch about it, those are some whole different situations. So this episode starts off, last episode ended with Barry getting into an argument with Quay, which I have in turn found out is a YouTube, Instagram star. I didn't know who he was last week. That doesn't really change the fact that I still feel like Barry was wrong for throwing the F word, okay? But I still feel like it was instigated by Quay. I feel like that whole scenario was instigated. I feel like he was trying to get some camera time. I feel like he was trying to be in the episode and be in the scene. And he was looking for something, talking about something. If you put your hands on me, I'ma sue. If you put your hands on me, I'ma sue. Bitch, whatever. Like, that's some bitch shit right there. If you put your hands on me, I'ma sue. Whatever. But what we find in this episode is that Barry faces some real ramifications. First of all, the circle that they run in is very small. There were a lot of people at that party who heard him. And come to find out, Gian, the lady that Tamika doesn't like, she basically told Barry that she was going to have to cut off working with him, cut off business with him, because she was like, she just can't work with somebody who does that, and that it looks bad on her, because word on the street is about Barry throwing that word around, and it's just not it's not a good look. I don't know if Gian had to take it to that extreme. I mean, obviously you do what you feel like you have to do to protect your brand, so I'm not going to question that. But at the same time, I just feel like if that's your friend, and if that's really somebody you were down with, y'all a bit, you've been working together, he trains you, you know his character, you know who he is, and you know that was just a bad decision at a bad time. And I don't know, I feel like that was a bit extreme, but either way, there is the, you got to pay the piper when you do things like that. So we open up this episode with the guys having a little sit-down talk, and the ladies are having a little sit-down talk over at Nichelle's house. And Nichelle's a character we met early on in the first episode. She has a personal chef by the name of Benny Poppins. Benny Poppins is funny. Benny Poppins, I don't really get the feeling that he cares for Tamika either, because he be giving her some looks the whole episode. But anyway, so Benny Poppins is there, and you have Rachel, who is the wife of the other football player. We met her in the last episode. Reagan, Nichelle, and Tamika are there, and they're having lunch. And Benny Poppins makes his specialty of grits, shrimp and grits. It looked good too. And basically the girls are letting Tamika have it. They're like, what you did was inappropriate. Like, that was a work function for me. Reagan was like, that's my business. That's my work function. Like, you instigated that situation, and then they went back to the situation on the porch where she basically told Justin's girlfriend, whose name is escaping me right now, that Justin said you ain't the one, and he ain't really feeling you like that. Bitch, what? See, that's that you inserted yourself in a situation that didn't have nothing to do with you. Did that girl come up to you and say, hey, I know you and Justin have been talking. Do you feel like he, does it feel like I'm the one? Do you feel like he can commit to me? That is when you answer, and if she can't take the honest truth, then that's on her, because she asked. But she didn't ask you, boo. Nobody asked you on that damn porch about nothing. And she tried to say, well, I came in hot because I was already in a bad mood and my back was hurting. Then you should have just fucking stayed home and you told Reagan, I know, I'm your best friend and I apologize, but my back is just killing me and I can't make it. I think Reagan would have been disappointed, but would have understood, especially if you have a history of having a bad back, which you said you do. You said that this is a chronic situation that comes up periodically. So if she's as close of a friend as you say she is, she'll know you have back problems. And that's just something you can't do. Anyway, Tamika couldn't take it. She got up and walked out, mad in a huff. The guys are talking and they kind of rehashed the whole him using the F word situation. And he, they explained to him how serious it was and how, that's just not cool. That's equivalent of the N word these days. And, it's just not something that's appropriate. I'm going to leave it alone. But I do know that it's a negative word. And I do know that it's a very hurtful word. I'm going to leave it at that. So then Barry goes on to explain why it came out. He said, growing up where I grew up, when you were arguing with somebody, when you were arguing with a guy, basically, that was the worst thing you could say, which it is. That's nobody will negate that. That when guys are arguing because it's such a level of homophobia, the worst thing you can call somebody is gay, a punk, a sissy, a fag, right? We know that. Just like when a white person is arguing with a black person, they really want to get under their skin, what do? Nigga. They know that that's going to get a reaction. And so, with that being said, Barry was like, I wasn't even thinking about the sexual orientation of it. I just was going for the low blow. And I was wrong for that. Now, there's a percentage of me that believes that, Barry, you knew that guy was gay. Or at least you felt that guy had some mannerisms that you felt were gay. Because I felt that. And I felt like that's why you threw it at him. I felt like if that had been John, I don't think you would have said that to John. Because John doesn't give you, that air, overtly. But Quay was giving that off. And I don't know if Quay is gay or not. But Quay was giving that off. I think he is. But he was giving that off. And so I think that a part of you did throw it at him because you felt like he was gay. I do. But at the end of the day, I don't think you meant... I think you were in the moment, you were heated, and you were looking for a quick low blow, which is what you went for. Unfortunately, the day after you got a hangover from it because there's some ramifications, and I already kind of talked about that. Then we see where Justin, who has the house and that had been damaged by Katrina. You see where he has an engineer coming in to see if the house can actually be saved because he wants to get it renovated. He wants to get it fixed. His parents had originally gotten it renovated after Katrina, but there's some things that are coming back, but they're foundational issues. And so his thing is, basically the bank won't approve the loan to get the house fixed if it can't be fixed, which, makes sense. So he had to get an engineer to actually do an appraisal and let him know exactly how bad the damage was and if it could be fixed. And that's a serious thing because if it couldn't be fixed, then, he would end up losing his home. And he explained how, he had pretty much been renting the house from his parents the last couple of years, but now he's ready to actually buy it and commit. He said that's the house he grew up in. He loves it. He loves the location. And he's really only like 2 blocks from his parents' house, but they're on the water now. Like they bought a house, a nice, bigger house, and actually on some waterfront property. Good news is the house can be fixed. There are, the engineer said there is some serious damage, but it's stuff that can be fixed. So it looks like he's going to be, moving in with his parents for a couple of months. They said estimate 2 months, but you know how that goes. It's going to probably be closer to 6, but whatever. That's hopefully him and his parents get that situation straight. Then we see the scene where Barry meets up with Gian. And like I said, that's when she tells him, I can't... I can't work with you anymore. Boom, boom, boom. Covered that. Tamika meets up with her cousin, Jared. Now, I owe Jared an apology. Because at the beginning of the season, when they introduced Jared, and Tamika was like, that's her other husband. He's her cousin. They're really close. And he basically is like her other husband. I was sort of feeling like he was going to be messy. And I got a gay vibe off of him. I'm just going to be honest. I thought that he was, I felt like he was gay. And I felt like he was going to be messy. That's how I felt. I felt like he was going to co-sign Tamika's shit and, basically give her a sounding board. Come to find out, the total opposite. Jared gets Tamika together. She goes to him and she tells him what happened, and of course she's trying to get a amen corner from him, and he's like, "You wrong. You need to apologize." She was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You were wrong. But I'm just being honest. I'm just being truthful. People know me." And again, she kept throwing it out like that was an excuse. I was just being truthful. First of all, that's still not an excuse for you to be a bitch. Being honest doesn't mean being bitchy. You can be honest all the time, and that doesn't mean you have to be nasty to people. And that is what you were being. You were being nasty, and you were inserting yourself in a situation that nobody asked you for. So being honest in a conversation you weren't invited to still does not justify your honesty. So she decides that. So then she goes and talks to Nichelle. And she kind of talks, she's looking for, because what she's looking for is a cosigner. She's looking for somebody to say, "You're right." So Nichelle tells her, maybe you were a little too much and you need to apologize. So they come up with this idea that they're going to go on one of those riverboat tours, but they're going to set it up for lunch. Swamp tours, I'm sorry, where you go see the alligators and stuff. But they're going to set it up for lunch. Nichelle's going to get Benny Poppins to cater. And Nichelle keeps talking about this out of Africa theme, but she said out of Africa one more goddamn time. I was going to jump through this TV and strangle her. Because the way she said it, I just wasn't cool with. But Tamika told her, "You can't. We're not in Africa. This don't have nothing to do with Africa. You can't keep saying this is an out of Africa thing." Like, she tried to tell her. And I don't know, something about it just rubbed me. I was like, if she say out of Africa one more fucking time. But anyway, so they go on a tour. The other thing I can't stand is a motherfucker who can't apologize. Bitch. You called all these people together. It was Justin, Barry, John, Jeff, Reagan, Gian, because John brought Gian and she had a problem with that. She talking about some Gian. Everywhere she go, Gian is there. Rachel was there. Justin's girlfriend had to work, so she couldn't come. But you called all these people together for the purpose of apologizing, and you wouldn't fucking apologize. You talked all around it. You even started the sentence by saying, "Well, I don't really owe everybody on here an apology, but sometimes I can just be a little hot, and sometimes I'm just honest, and people just don't know how to take it." Like, she's giving all these fucking excuses instead of just saying, "You know what, the other night I was out of pocket and I apologize. Enjoy your lunch." That's all it would have took. And everybody is sitting there waiting for you to just say it. I can't deal with people like that. We all make mistakes. We all have bad moments. But I can't deal with somebody who can't stand in their shit. You so big and bold talking about, "I'm just honest, I'm just honest." And stand in your shit. When you offend somebody or when somebody's upset with you, stand in that. Anyway. Then they proceed to have a conversation about the F word. And Gian, I feel like she was being a bit much, coming at Barry a little harsh. And Tamika sort of defended her husband a little bit, which she should have, because like I said, I feel like Gian was a bit much. She was coming in hot, as Tamika would say. And, Jared proceeded to kind of tell his story. And Jared came out the closet, which I didn't know he was in the closet. Like I said, I thought he was already gay. I thought everybody knew, because that's the vibe I got from the first episode. But clearly, he didn't know people knew, because I think Barry made a comment about, "Yeah, bruh, we already know that." Like, I don't think it was a secret, but the only person he had actually came out and confided in was Tamika. But he went on to sort of tell his story and talk about how, he's sort of coming out and he's sharing himself with them, and how that word has been used as a weapon against him, and why it was so serious, and why it's such a hurtful thing. And how, him being gay doesn't make him any less of a man, that he should not be thought of any differently than when they first came on, the boat, that he's still all man, even though he likes men. And I appreciated his conversation and I appreciated his input. And I thought it was valid. I thought it was very valid. Um, the only other thing, I'm enjoying Southern Charm, but like I said, Tamika's pissing me off. But the only other thing that, oh, and then they proceed to have this whole conversation on CTE again. Look, y'all, drop it in them comments if I missed something. I have yet to see where Jeff was diagnosed with anything. And I know you can't be diagnosed with CTE until after you're dead, obviously. And I know he played professional sports, and I know it's serious. But I just feel like, do I think that maybe he might have a drinking problem? Maybe. But I haven't seen anything. And again, I know we're only getting glimpses, and I know we're only getting pieces of it. But I just feel like if you're going to give us those pieces, then you need to make it a complete story. Because for y'all to be hyping up CTE, like, it's almost like I feel like opponents of tackle football have paid them for like a commercial or something, because I just feel like they're making such a big deal about this CTE without any foundation of it. You know what I mean? Jeff had one really fucking bad night, and now y'all making it seem like this man don't remember his address. You know what I'm saying? Drop it in those comments if I'm tripping. But I just feel like they're really making a whole lot out of that I'm missing. And maybe I'm biased, because y'all know I love football. Maybe I'm biased, but I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot. Seems like it's a lot to it. And last but not least, Rachel and Reagan end up having a conversation at the end. They come back and they sort of have like a post-happy hour kind of thing when they get back. And, you know, everybody's kind of having a conversation. And Rachel and Reagan are having a conversation. And Rachel, who I love, Rachel need to be a full-time character. I like her. But Rachel told Reagan, she was like, look, if you really truly feel like your husband is starting to have some issues and some symptoms of CTE or anything like that, any long-term effects of being a football player, now is not the time to leave him high and dry. Now is the time to embrace him. You moving out and getting an apartment and not wanting him to be a part of that is not cool. And that is going to eventually, that's going to be the downfall of your marriage, and you will end up divorced. If you cannot embrace whatever issues y'all are having and face them head on, you can't run away, because this is not the time for it. And I feel like that's what Tamika said. That's just not the answer. I said it. You don't know me, but I said it. But that's just not the answer. That's going to end up putting you in a place you don't want to be. Running away from an issue is never the problem. Never it. And the thing that rich people have the luxury of doing that regular poor people or middle class people don't necessarily have that luxury. You can go buy another piece of property and move out and say, come up with all these excuses. And that's because you have the money that allows you to do it. But if you didn't have the money to buy a second home, you would have to be in that house with that man and deal with him. And it's a pretty damn big house to begin with. So you need to really figure out what your issue is. And you really need to figure out what it is you want, But that's my 2 cents, and that was Sunday's episode. And, sorry it's late, but y'all know what happened. Y'all know the deal. But you see my voice is coming back. I feel better. And I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.